Hey, what is up, mortals? It is TallDragon here, and before we get into today's video, there is something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if this video hits 1,000 likes by the end of the week, we will continue this what if. Thirdly, if you didn't know, only 41.3% of you guys are subscribed to us, so please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the story. The League of Villains lair wasn't the way you'd expect for a villain lair to appear. It was dark and shady looking, but it wasn't run down. Smooth, well taken care of, and clean. The opposite of some cave with a death ray or a hidden room in a sewer. Bakugou looked up at all the villains watching him, frustrated, rattling his hands around in his restraints. Being confined like this was uncomfortable, to say the least. Losers, he thought to himself. Shigaraki, the leader, was a skinny boy with bluish hair and ashy pale skin. His face was veiled by a severed hand. He thought the outfit was ridiculous. Most villains were just losers who occasionally had strong quirks. He supposed he could just get out of here. In that case, he could destroy them all. He just stared at all of them, thinking about what he would do to them once he got out. Shigaraki inched closer to him.
"Get me out of these cuffs, losers, or else I'll level this entire damn building,"
he threatened.
"See, he's fun, unlike the rest of you,"
Toga laughed. She paused and made air quotes with her fingers.
"You and your plans. Why can't we just dive in and cause a little damage?"
she chimed. Shigaraki briefly looked back at Toga, then back at Bakugou. He was taken aback by Bakugou's anger, but still kept his usual composure.
"Well, here's my offer. Join us,"
Shigaraki said confidently.
"Why would I even think to join a bunch of losers who kidnapped me?"
Bakugou retorted.
"It doesn't really matter if you want to or not, because you will join us. If you actually wanted, it would have just made it easier."
Cracked dry lips opened up to flash a grin under the hand covering his face.
"Dobby,"
he said, turning to the patchwork man.
"Yeah?"
Dobby turned to his boss.
"Get the gas,"
Shigaraki commanded. Dobby strolled over to a different part of the bar. He bent down to behind the counter and pulled out a device. It looked like a canister with a piece you'd use to put over a person's mouth. He handed the device over to Shigaraki.
"This should help you make up your mind."
Spinner and Magnet came from behind Shigaraki. They held Bakugou down as he struggled. Dobby came in closer with the device and brought it closer to his face. He resisted, but the machine was placed over his nose and mouth, then a white gas came out. It felt like he had just inhaled a ton of sawdust. It was dry and warm, and it filled his lungs. It was a few more seconds before Dobby removed it. Bakugou coughed. It was a wet, loud, and painful one. Everyone else in the room stepped back. Bakugou felt different. Something changed. He couldn't put his finger on what was different, but something was different. Something was very wrong.
"I'll ask again. Join us."
Bakugou was about to say no, but his mind flashed with memories of his classmates suddenly. Every time they annoyed him, every instance when they acted incompetently, and Deku, that smug jerk, that thought he was better than he thought about what it would mean for them if he joined the League, he could hurt all of them, and they wouldn't even see it coming.
"Yes,"
he answered. The tone of his voice sounded unhinged, and he looked at it. His eyes were red and veiny.
"Excellent."
Shigaraki's cracked lips smiled. Kurogiri got closer and stepped from behind the bar counter. He used his quirk, and everyone in the bar was engulfed in the same black smoke his body was made of. A few seconds passed, and the bar was empty. They were gone. Bakugou had been missing for a few weeks, although All Might and a few other heroes managed to locate the League of Villains' lair. No one was there. The search carried on for a while. The world speculated on what could have happened to the lost student. All Might had changed. He kept his demeanor, of course. Internally, he was distraught. A student of his went missing. A student, a child, and a person he was charged with protecting. In the hands of a group that wanted to tear down everything that made their world what it was. It was a massive and painful loss. Many felt the same. Bakugou's teachers and classmates all felt like they had failed. This weighed on Izuku Midoriya the most, however. He was there when they took him. Right there. He wasn't strong enough to save him. All he could do was wonder what happened to Bakugou. UA's classes carried on as they did. However, some students feared the school could not keep them safe. To help out with a sense of unease, UA adopted a dorm system for their students to keep a closer eye on them. The feeling of anxiety brought down the morale of all the students. Although very few people liked Bakugou at all, his classmates missed and worried about him. Like Izuku, Kirishima was affected more than the rest of his classmates. Kirishima had his head down for most of the class. Izuku took notice and would make sure to say something to him after class. They had another field exercise today. Everyone was less enthusiastic than they usually were. While walking out of the classroom to the changing rooms, there was a loud shout from a woman.
"It's almost been a damn month! Where the hell is my son?"
Mitsuki Bakugou yelled loudly. She was chased down the hall by her husband. All Might and Principal Nezu followed behind.
"Ma'am, I can assure you that we will find him."
All Might attempted to calm the woman down, but his attempt didn't work.
"I don't want your assurance. I want my son back,"
she retorted and stormed off with her husband. The class looked on with concern on all their faces. Izuku made brief eye contact with Mitsuki. He saw that same uncertainty in her that he had within himself. All Might realized the students had been watching the entire confrontation.
"Go to class!"
He snapped in a tone that neither he nor anyone that knew the symbol of peace thought he could make. He was surprised by this. The class rushed quickly towards the school's changing rooms before starting the training exercise. Some seemed more focused on training than most. Kirishima and Izuku both seemed to be in a flow state while they practiced. Bang! The side of the training building had been blown wide open. Before we get back into the story, I would like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes over the hard facts of the anime presented. Now, in case you guys didn't know, we have a third channel called We the Celestial Naruto What If. We the Celestial Naruto What If mainly focuses on the Naruto What If series. If you are interested in content like this, please go check the description below or click the eye icon in the top right corner. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. What? Izuku turned his head. One of the walls had been blown open. Familiar faces came from the smoke and rubble. Shigaraki, his league, and Bakugou? Everyone was shocked. The classmate they had worried about for months was okay, but he was standing there with the villains. Aizawa made sure to notify the other school staff. Lockdown alarms started to blare out through the training room.
"Students evacuate now."
He turned to the rest of 1A. Most had already gotten close to the exits. He did notice that Izuku, Kirishima, and Ochako had stayed behind. Also standing with Shigaraki was Dabi, Toga, and Kurigiri. Izuku understood what kind of quirk Shigaraki had from his first attack. The USJ incident he remembered as well as Dabi's from the attack at the camp. "The leader! Don't let him touch you! He has a disintegration quirk!" Izuku warned his two friends.
Right!
Kirishima and Ochako got into fighting positions. Izuku followed and started charging up one for all. "Kachan!" Izuku shouted. Bakugou's head snapped towards the direction where his name was called. He looked pale, unhinged. He was always an angry person, but there was something unnatural about this kind of rage. His eyes darted around rapidly until he fixated on the group. He gritted his teeth as they started to drive. "Pest!" he grunted as he started to walk towards them. Shigaraki put his arm out to stop him. "Wait," Shigaraki uttered before Bakugou's fist slammed into his face. Bakugou yelled before using his quirk to blast off towards Izuku, Kirishima, and Ochako. "He's coming towards us!" Izuku yelled back to his friends.
"He doesn't look so hot,"
Kirishima lamented. Bakugou got closer and closer. Within a few feet, he was ready to blast Izuku away before Kirishima stood in his way to block the attack.
"You!"
Bakugou grunted, spit flying out of his gritted teeth. Enjiro returned this with a punch. He hit Bakugou as he retrieved quickly and put his hands forward to blast him.
"Something's wrong with him,"
he said, hardening some more. "What gave it away? The bloodlust or the bloodshot eyes?" Ochako asked. Izuku rushed towards Bakugou, punching him. Aizawa just looked on as the students fought each other. Then his attention was turned towards the villains. They had been in shock. They all looked nervously at Shigaraki, who had been quiet since he was hit. "Boss?" Toga crept up to ask. He was still very much in shock. The gas was supposed to make him more aggressive, but it was supposed to make him follow orders. He noted that Bakugou had been starting to break free from the gas's effect.
"It doesn't matter,"
Shigaraki said to himself. He had a job to do.
"Attack the teacher. I'll stay here with Kurigiri. When you're done with him, help Bakugou kill the students,"
he commanded. The league members nodded and rushed towards Aizawa. They faced each other head-on. "I just have to hold them off till the rest of the staff gets here," he thought as he dodged a fire blast from Dabi. Meanwhile, Izuku and his friends were not handling Bakugou very well. He was the winner of the sports festival for a good reason. Even in this current raging state, he was still a formidable fighter. Ochako noted this as she tried to dodge his attacks. If she couldn't touch him, she couldn't make him float. Even then, if she did that, his quirk would still allow him to be mobile.
Why are you doing this?
She shouted out frustratingly to her classmate. At that moment, Bakugou had stopped mid-attack.
Why?
He said confusingly.
Wait, try and remind him about us. Maybe that will snap him out of whatever this was.
Ochaku turned to Izuku and Kirishima.
Kachan, you're really gonna let these villains use you like a puppet? You're stronger than that.
Izuku knew that appealing to Bakugou's pride was going to bring his true self out.
No one controls me,
he shouted. The bloodshot veins in his eyes went away as they returned to normal. Kirishima stepped closer and reached out.
Dude? He asked. What, pointy hair?
Bakugou shouted back at his typical level of aggression.
You sure?
Izuku said, raising an eyebrow.
Why do you care, Deku?
He snapped. Izuku looked to the side and half smiled. He was glad that Bakugou was back to his normal self, but he was Bakugou. Bakugou's attention was towards the villains that were attacking Aizawa, and he was holding his own, but he wouldn't last forever.
Are we going to deal with these villains or what?
Bakugou asked.
Yeah, let's do it. Welcome back, Kachan,
Izuku said enthusiastically.
Thanks,
he said in an uncharacteristically nice tone. They rushed towards the villains, catching them by surprise.
The gas wore off,
Dabi yelled out as the students got closer. Shigaraki turned to Kurogiri.
Let's get out of here,
he commanded.
Fall back,
Shigaraki shouted out to the other members. They retreated quickly, but some were caught off guard. Only Toga, Dabi, and Spinner were able to reach Shigaraki before Kurogiri warped them out.
Crap!
Bakugou cursed as they got away. Izuku's hands grabbed his shoulder.
Hey, it's over for now. You're back.
Izuku tried to calm him down, but he wasn't even sure what he'd do himself in this situation.
Yeah, you're right,
Bakugou said. The rest of the teachers had rushed in to aid the students in Aizawa. Bakugou is reunited with his family. Even though they protested him returning to UA after a few weeks of catch-up courses and therapy, he returned to school. The tabloids talked about his kidnapping for a while, but soon left it alone. Things couldn't go entirely back to how they once were, but for now things were to some semblance of normalcy. Shigaraki stood in front of a computer screen, and his master All-for-One's mutated face on the other side.
The gas worked, Master,
Shigaraki said.
Good. Let's try again.
The ancient man's demented joy could be felt through the screen. Things were certainly never going back to normal. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer of this video and editors for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out mortals, have a fantastic day.